Mythic! Mythic with a 4 rare deck. Let's go. Yeah! Smashing. Let's go. Hey, it's Mythic Mike. We're going to go through the Outlaw of Thunder Junction cards that crush BOROS CONVOKE. I hate BOROS CONVOKE. The deck's in front of you. There's some versions of it, but they make a bunch of small creatures, and then they convoke, and they attack in, and these things buff the small creatures, and it's just too good. They can get turn 2 plays off that are insane. So I always want to get this deck out of here. I call it the Trash People deck. Is what it is. It's just too good in best of 1 standard, but Outlaws of Thunder Junction has given us so many nice tools to smash them. Is BOROS CONVOKE done? I think so. I'm going to show you the top cards we're going to use in Outlaws of Thunder Junction to destroy them. If you don't know me, I make a unique deck a day, so remember to like and subscribe. All right, let's get into these bangers. I mean, here we go, a direct counter, right? 2 mana, instant spree card. So for 1 more, Caught in the Crossfire deals 2 damage to each outlaw creature. Outlaws are assassins, mercenary, pirates, rogues, and warlocks. And, you know, instead, or in addition, you can pay 1 and it does 2 damage to each non-outlaw creature. So I don't think BOROS CONVOKE has a lot of outlaw creatures, so you can play an outlaw deck and do a 1-sided board wipe, which is very cool. At instant speed, yeah, I mean, that sounds great to me. Definitely a banger versus the Trash People. Oh my god, what a good counter to BOROS CONVOKE. Harvester of Misery, 5 mana creature spirit. It is mythic, and it's a 5/4 menace. When it enters, other creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. Goodbye. Not to mention, for 2 mana, you can just discard or channel it, and target creature gets -2/-2 at instant speed. I believe that's uncounterable. So, yeah, I mean, very nice. Just smash them, kill all the small creatures if you get to 5 mana and keep with a body. Or early game, kill one of their small things. Goodbye, BOROS CONVOKE. Also, Mono Black didn't have a way to deal with BOROS CONVOKE before. This is by far the best way. I'm super pumped. Yo, look at this, baby. White and black. So a little Orzhov colors, pest control. Let's get these trash people out. They are pests. I agree, wizards. Sorcery, and it's a mythic. Destroy all non-land permanents with mana value 1 or less. So, you know, no matter how big they make their 1-drops, by tapping them, we're getting them out of here. All those little goblin tokens they make, all the little map, you know, or blood tokens and things like that they make, it's just gone. And the coolest part is it has cycling too. So if we're not playing BOROS CONVOKE or it's not relevant, we can just cycle it. So it's not just dead in our hand. Awesome. So this card just directly counters BOROS CONVOKE. I've made a turn 3 kill deck. A couple of them, they've been all over though, but a lot of people have made them now. Where you just try, you know, Cacophony Scamp, Picnic Ruiner, Antagonize, Sellsword for the Fling, and you just try to kill people, building up a creature, having it have double strike, or flinging it after combat. And BOROS CONVOKE can't deal with that because they're trying to build up. They usually like to tap their creatures for the Convoke stuff, and we'll kill them before they get powerful enough. Now this just slots right into that deck and makes it way better, because on the other one you need trample, or you need them to tap out and not really realize, because otherwise they could block with their 1/1s. And we do have trample in the other deck, but this, I mean, has built-in evasion, right? And not to mention that it's got super prowess over here, and is gets plus, so it's a 2 mana creature bird wizard rare, not legendary, flying in haste 1/2, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So, you know, you cast 2 combat tricks on this, it's doing 10 damage, easy, maybe more, and then we just fling it and it's game over. So it goes right in that deck, and the flying just makes it really nice, because again, BOROS CONVOKE doesn't have flying until they tap their guy enough. You can plot it for 2, and then you exile it, and you play it at a later turn for free, which is pretty cool, because then you can really pop off. I don't think that's as relevant versus BOROS CONVOKE, but crazy. Yeah, this is going to smash them. These types of decks smash BOROS CONVOKE, and the fact it's going to be so good now, my god. Under the exact same line of reasoning, Aloe Alchemist is going to crush BOROS CONVOKE. 2 mana, 3/2 trample, and when it becomes plotted, a creature gets +3/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. You plot for 2, it's exiled, and then you can play it for free for later. So you heard me. For 2 mana, you get both effects. Just the creature comes in a turn late. Trample on a body and a combat trick like this with Trample goes through Boros Convoke. This goes in a turn 3 kill deck with Picnic Ruiner. Smashes through. They can't block the big trample threats. It kills them before they get big. Boros Convoke. You're out of here. All right. We got High Noon, a 2 mana enchantment. Each player can't cast more than one spell each turn, and for 5 mana, sacrifice this, and it deals 5 damage to any target, including their face. So the reason this could be good against Boros Convoke is, especially if you're on the play, but even if not, you know, Boros Convoke loves to play a bunch of different spells in a turn. And this will slow them down. This may be not a direct counter, but it will slow them down, and it can do the final damage if they have a wide board that you can't get through. So very cool. And the way to kind of break this too is you can play your own flash creatures, like a lot of blue flash creatures in a blue-white deck, and or just hold up instants and things like that on their turn. They don't really have instants, so this will hurt them way more than you. And then we can play 2 spells a turn, and they can only play 1. And again, it's worse to only play 1 when you're playing a Boros Convoke Go Wide deck. So it's a very cool card, another area to potentially attack the trash people. Okay, they gave us another way to bust Boros Convoke open with Final Showdown. 1 mana instant rare. It's Spree. So you pay the 1, and then you have to pay all or one, at least one of the additional cost, and then it will do all or one of the additional things based on how much you pay. So for 1 more, all creatures lose all abilities until end of turn. For 1 more, or instead of, you choose a creature you control, it gains indestructible, so it's kind of a save spell. And for 5 more, so 6 total, destroy all creatures. The reason this is cool is even in creature decks now, we need to play some board wipes to get rid of Boros Convoke. Maybe you'll play, 3 damage to all creatures, and most of your creatures will survive that, so that's how you deal with it. But you used to not have to do that, right? Against other decks. You could just play target removal. Boros Convoke is a whole new beast. So even your creature decks need some kind of board wipes, and I think this is the coolest way to do it. So Boros Convoke, if you play against them and it gets out of control, or any deck that gets out of control, you can pay 6 at instant speed. Remember, this is an instant speed board wipe, which is pretty crazy. Late game to destroy all creatures. But also, you have these other things that are pretty good, pretty much a save spell, and all creatures lose all ability until end of turn. And that is relevant because if you have to do it before they attack, but if they're going to attack with like an, what's it called? The vampire that gives everything +1/+0, or things like that, or if the vampire is dead and it's going to make a 1/1 blocker that's going to save them, you can shut off their abilities at instant speed. And again, you can give a creature indestructible, which is also very relevant. So the instant speed nature of it and modality is going to be very nice in a lot of matchups. And I mean, look, if you can survive to turn 6 or ramp a little bit, this can also be one of those things that, hey, fine, Boros Convoke's going to kill you next turn, but we're going to kill all creatures and rebuild. So look, I'm happy about any kind of board wipe that's attached to creature value as well, because those are the types of decks I like to play. All right, we had mentioned this one, but this is just a banger to counter Boros Convoke. I love when there's just a nice little creature that we want to play anyways that will just blast them out of existence. We're taking out the trash with this card. 4 mana Angel, a 3/5 flyer, and as long as Archangel is untapped, creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. So on the turn you play it, Boros Convoke has 25 creatures and 1 mana up. After they play their stuff, they can only attack you with 1 creature. Awesome. And then also, as long as this is attacking, creatures can't block unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. That actually, thinking about it, is helpful in against Boros Convoke because they have so many creatures, right? Usually they can just chunk block. But if they have very little mana up or no mana up, then they can't do it even if they have a ton of blockers. Now, Angels are generally flyers, so it's not as important because Boros Convoke only has the 1 flying guy that gains flying when you tap people. But first of all, you can get by that potentially. And second of all, you can put this Archangel of Tice in other types of shells, I think, and it will be very good. And then the second ability will be great against BOROS Convoke as well. Let's go. All right, here is another one. I mean, I think this card's just amazing. But 1 mana, instant spree, and for 3 mana, untap all creatures you control. This is an instant. And if it's your combat phase, there's an additional combat phase. For 2, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain first strike. And for 1, choose target opponent whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to the player, create a tap treasure token. I'm raising this because, you know, they're going to want to block or attack in when they think they're going to win. And we can untap our creatures and potentially give them +1/+0 and first strike. So there's a defensive, you know, kind of like the other white spell I talked about. But also there's just a win con where we get 2 combat steps because, look, they're usually trying to tap out and attack through. They might have a couple 1/1s on blocks, but hopefully that won't sustain 2 combat steps. So I think this can just put them away because they're a little slow to build up, and we can build up, and then they'll swing in. We'll go down to 2 damage. We'll get 2 combat steps and it will be over, or we'll untap our creatures and block them and half their creatures will die. So I think this is relevant and it's really fun. They can go in a lot of creature decks and beat a lot of things, but I think is very powerful against something like BOROS Convoke that's trying to build up, go wide, and then beat you with a bunch of small creatures because, look, 2 combat steps and our untaps, we don't have to choose over attacking and blocking if we have mana up, is pretty sick. Another spree card that I think will actually be good against BOROS Convoke is Rustler Rampage, a 1 mana spree. So for 1, you untap all creatures target players control. 1 more, so that's 2 total, and it is an instant. And for another 1, or instead of, target creature gains double strike. The reason I think this will be cool against BOROS Convoke is you can swing in and they will think they can attack in and win with their go wide, but then you can instantly pay 2 or 3 to really blow them out and untap your creatures, block, and hopefully win the game off that, as well as potentially give something double strike. Additionally, BOROS Convoke is not good against really early damage. So, you know, in any type of 1-turn kill, turn 3 kill deck, I've been crushing BOROS Convoke, right? If you haven't check out my turn 3 kill decks, usually with like Cacophony, Scamp, and Fling, Picnic Ruiner. But the double strike on this can kind of be like that. I mean, you get a big creature out there and you can kind of finish them off very early with this, just by playing that ability. So I love the modality, and I love that, you know, we can blow out a small creature deck with this by swinging and then untap, and one of our creatures get double strike and we kill most of their board right there. So pretty sick. Guys, this is one of the most underrated cards for sure. 2 mana vampire, 2/2 lifelink. Those are already good stats. It'll help you in aggro matchups. You can play it in a vampire deck and buff it, or you can use spells like Bane Splitter and a Rakdos deck to buff it, and buffing lifelink is crazy. But even without that, it's a reasonable body. And then when it enters the battlefield, target player mills 2 cards. So we can be in a self-mill deck, and it can also be in a crime deck, because this is a crime trigger, because you can make opponent mill 2 cards. There's a lot of cool things that get triggered by if you commit a crime. So look, a body that can self-mill you if you need to, and can commit a crime when that's important, that has lifelink and is a relevant type. Banger. A limited trick? Probably, but also I did want to throw it out here. I used to use this. This existed a while ago. I used to use it, and it is relevant. I mean, the coolest thing about BOROS Convoke is you can kind of have a blowout here where you kill something small, and you survive when you otherwise wouldn't have. You know, when you're playing against a bunch of 2/2s and 1/1s, this can really kind of mess them up, right? Because they can block one of your 1/1s with the 2/2, and then, you know, block your 3/3 with a 4/4, and you can just blow them out, right? Kill one of their things, grow your thing that otherwise wouldn't die. So look, I'm not sure this is going to work. We're going to try it, but I just want to let you know from my past experience, this does blow out those go wide decks in a very interesting way. So I think it's worth thinking about. All right, going with the lifelink theme, but just a way better card than the last one I showed. Seraphic Seed, 2 mana, Unicorn Mount, first strike, lifelink. When it attacks while saddled, make a 3/3 angel creature token with flying. And saddle for 4, so it's like crewing for 4. So creatures with 4 power, you need to tap to do that. I mean, a 2/2 first strike lifelink is going to mess up BOROS Convoke if they attack, because you're going to kill something and gain life. And that's very relevant. These are not legendary. But also, just making 3/3 flyers will get through BOROS Convoke. It's going to be a big deal for them. I think there's a way to make, like I said, to make some really cool decks with this. And I've got a lot of great ideas for it. But I just wanted to kind of note this whole like lifelink making big bodies, especially flyers that they can't block, is something that BOROS Convoke will struggle with. This is not a direct counter, but I think it's part of a strategy that they will struggle with. All right, now we'll see if this is actually a good card in general, but BOROS Convoke has no way to deal with this, and I think it will, kind of crush them. 4 mana Greed's Gambit enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards, gain 6 life, create 3/2/1 black creature tokens with flying. That's enough to really blast through them, and to defend on blocks with the 2/1s as well as gaining 6 life. But at the beginning of your end step, you discard a card, lose 2 life, and sacrifice a creature. So it's really gain 4 life, make 2 2/1s, and draw 2 cards. Still pretty good. And if they kill this, you get completely blown out, and you discard 3 cards, lose 6 life, and sacrifice 3 creatures. BOROS Convoke cannot deal with this, so just flagging that this is a very nice card, and in Best of 1 we'll see if we can kind of bank on that, or if there's going to be too much enchantment hate. But currently, BOROS Convoke really doesn't have a way to deal with this, and this would put them very far behind. All right, talk about a direct counter. Torpurth Orb, 2 mana artifact. It's not legendary. Creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger. Guess it doesn't really matter. That's not legendary unless they can kill one. Or you have benefits to having artifacts in play, which does happen. But look, this completely shuts them down. There's already Thrall that does this white in white. But if you don't play white, and if you want something that can't be killed, because Thrall's a creature, here you go. Put it in mono black. Put it in whatever you want. Put it in whatever deck you're having trouble with against BOROS Convoke. Let's put it in. I might put these in some Best of 1 decks, especially if there's any benefit for an artifact or for sacrificing a permanent. With Soul, like we can sacrifice this or discard it or filter to get it out if we don't need it. Because my God, that Convoke Knight's gone, Imidane's gone, they're things that make artifacts gone, War Leader's gone, none of them do anything. So very cool that we just have a direct counter in all colors. I am so happy, guys. BOROS Convoke looks like it's gonna be out of here. If you didn't see your favorite card and you think I missed any, definitely let me know in the comments. Remember, I make a unique deck every single day, so like and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Let's go, baby.